Hello everyone, my name is Nox, and today we're going to be talking about Season 2 in Diablo 4 and just my thoughts on it and progression so far, and maybe help you guys make a decision about whether or not it's worth playing. So jumping right in real quick, this is my level 100 Sork. I played Firewall and Hydra the entire way, and I had a blast with it. Leveling to 100 is a much better pace now. To put things in perspective, I did this in about 37 hours of game time. So I finished this Thursday morning. And it was a fun experience. Season 1 took me like twice that. And then preseason was even more than that. So I finished, I believe, about 17th in the world, just going off of D4 Armory. I don't know. There's a bunch of different websites that track it, but some of them are exclusive to the streamers that are part of that website, etc. So yeah, I used D4 Armory, finished about top 20, so felt pretty good about that. This is in solo self-found hardcore, and I had a great time. Things are much better than they were in the previous season, and that is not a very high bar, but it is a bar nonetheless. So, you know, progress is progress. We'll take it where we can get it, I guess. I think a significant portion of why the game feels better is the changes to gearing and resistances specifically. So you actually care about resistances now. So it lets me look at a piece like this and be like, hey, this is a good item because I need poison and shadow resistance so I don't get killed. And even if you're playing softcore, like, you don't want to die all the time. Like, you want to feel strong. You don't want to feel like you're made of paper. At least I don't. So having this change and having like real capped resistances that actually work and function really makes your character feel tanky. You have gems in your jewelry that aren't just skulls every single time. It's easier to cap resistances on an end user, obviously, but I think that that's good. It means that when I jump in and play a barbarian, for example, I'm going to need to worry about resistance rolls on gear a little bit more and worry about armor on gear less, right? Because they stack strength gives me armor, etc. Jumping into the seasonal content itself, I think the vampire powers, while not visually very amazing, I think that mechanically they're great. They're very strong, and I can have every single one that I want, and that's a good thing. I mean, it really opens up player choice. This UI is terrible. I will say that. Hopefully that gets fixed very soon. This UI is garbage, but the powers themselves, very solid. I like that while some of them are kind of no-brainers, for example, Flowing Veins, it's like, this deals increased damage over time. I'm a damage over time build. I'm going to take this, right? Not every single power is like that. You know, Feed the Coven, if I'm using companion skills and I want resource, then I get this one, but there's another one related to companion and minions. There's a different how you apply vulnerable. Some people are using metamorphosis. I'm using Accursed Touch because I want to apply that from ranged. I want to, be able to apply it on a boss, or if I don't have an evade charge or something, I want to be able to just have that. And then bringing in other mechanics to a class that can't normally have them is a really great seasonal feature, in my opinion. Having Fortify on a Sork feels incredible. Super tanky, makes you feel really thick, and I'm a big fan of that. So chef's kiss on that one. The seasonal content itself, let's jump over it. So anyone who's seen this might be like, that looks like Turquoise Helltide. And you'd be right. It does look like Turquoise Helltide, but it plays differently in my experience and my opinion. So Helltide to me seems to be you're bouncing from event to event. So, orange circle to orange circle, you're bouncing around the events. You're trying to kill as many monsters as possible to collect the stuff, to click on a treasure chest, to be done. There is elements of that in Blood Harvest, certainly. You're running around, you're killing things, and you're collecting currency to open chests and to click on statues and things like that. But it feels different. The pacing is different. To me, what this feels like is farming an outdoor area in like Diablo 2, or farming an outdoor map in Path of Exile, where I'm running around this area. There's a lot of density. There's a ton of monsters on the screen. And it feels different than farming, even just like if I was to be in one region south, this would feel significantly different than this. And I think that that's a good seasonal mechanic for me personally. It's a good change of pace. It doesn't just feel like a nightmare dungeon. It feels like something else, and I like that. It doesn't feel like a Helltide. It feels like something else, and I like that. There is similarity and there is going to be overlap, and I think that that's going to happen in ARPGs because the core of the game is running around clicking and killing monsters, right? Like that's just part of how the game works. But in general, I think that Blood Harvests are a very strong addition to the game, and hopefully they go core, maybe not within the current frequency that they are, but otherwise just in some capacity, I want these in the game. The other thing that they add in other forms of content is Blood Seekers. And the Blood Seekers are essentially just elite spawns, but they're a different mob type than they were before. They're essentially a player character. There's a druid and a necro and a sork and a barb and a rogue, and they all have, very thematic powers for their individual class. And some of them are really tanky and scary. Like I know like the barb and the rogue one specifically on my sork are like, they're very sticky and they're trying to beat the living hell out of you, and they're dangerous, and they spawn in dungeons sometimes. And they're not just like spawns as in like you walk into a room and there they are, but you'll be fighting things and then you'll get like a little pop-up on your screen that says Blood Seekers are hunting you, or Blood Seekers have tracked you down, or something to that effect. And they'll spawn, and if you're in the middle of a big fight, it's like that fight got even more hectic. So I love the randomness of it, and it really changes the pace of that nightmare dungeon. And that to me is really good content. I enjoy that immensely. And I think if that's how they're going to incorporate league or season mechanics, that's a good way to do it. I think that having this up all the time for the season is great. And then I think if it goes core, then it's up less frequently, or maybe it alternates between that and Helltide or something like that. I'm not really sure, but this is fun. The whispers that are here are kind of just like, they're kind of like, to me, they feel like kind of extra gimme bonuses for just being in the area. They're things that kind of happen on their own. Like, like you're freeing villagers and you're killing blood reavers, and you're like blood seekers will hunt you down anyway. And you can also spawn extras. But the big kind of like showcase piece of this season is one, the blood seekers and other dungeons that I mentioned, but two, if you go to the actual Blood Harvest icon on your map, and we can actually, it's right up here. I will head that way while I'm explaining. So if you go to this icon on your map, there's going to be 3 of these little pillars that spawn here. And I'll just drop some stuff while we're out here. And they cost 50 of these blood lures to activate. And if you activate all 3, and of course I don't have the currency right now, because why would I be prepared for a video? It spawns an absolute shit ton of monsters, like in a giant wave, and they're like coming at you like an endless tide, so to speak. And at the end, there's a boss, and this whole thing is just like loot explosions everywhere. And it's very Ultimatum-esque if you played that league in PoE, where it's like a ton of just like waves and waves of monsters coming in, and it seems to be getting like a little bit harder each time. And I really like that. And I like that it's a change of pace over just the generic world, like farming the world sort of shenanigans that occurs there. I think it's a solid season. And the other thing that they added that I think really adds to the end game is the bosses. So touching on those for just a little bit, they're a great addition. You can see exactly where they are initially. So like here's Duriel's spot, and here's where's the other guy? Here's Halls of the Penitent. So that's the Galvanic Saint guy. Beast in the Ice is a nightmare dungeon that I think you need to like click on and spawn. I don't think he has a specific spot, or maybe he does, whatever. Oh no, it's right here. And then Varshan is right here next to the Whispers, right? They're great. I think that all the bosses are very well designed and fun. I do not think they are hard enough. I think that they could be a little bit harder. I think if Duriel is just Duriel and then they stop calling him Uber, that would be better. I think if they made him a little bit harder, but like guaranteed a Uber unique, it might be even better. I don't know how exactly they'd fix it, but I just know the difficulty at this exact point in time is not enough for me. But maybe other people can have their opinions on that. I think having like being able to you have to do layers of content to get to Duriel is a great choice. If for those of you who played PoE, this is very similar to the Guardian and Shaper shenanigans. You have to farm this guy to get the pieces for this guy, and then you do the boss. It's more rewarding. Great. I like that. And I think that there needs to be more of that in the game. So on that note, is season 2 worth it? If you already own the game, hell yeah, it is. Like, you're not paying anything for it. Like, you don't have to spend any money. Just turn the game on and play. And it's way more fun than it was in the past. It's way more fun than it was in preseason. It's way more fun than season 1. Huge improvements, huge strides in the right direction. The quality of life stuff, although it should have been in the game to begin with, is very welcome. Love it that I can search my stash. Love it that I can mark things as favorite. Love it that my horse doesn't get stuck on every little pebble on the open world. It makes open world content far more enjoyable. And it was one of the first things I noticed when I logged in and started playing the game. But is it enough? And that's really the question. No, I don't think it's enough. I think there needs to be more game here, certainly. And I think that while that's a good problem to have, if I want more game, it means I like the game, right? But there's not enough end game progression systems here. We need more. Like, if this vampire power system was baseline and it became something else, or they modified these, if these were like a different form of glyphs, something of that nature, a different end game progression system where I can chase some sort of goal specific to my character, I think this game needs some more of that. Certainly, this is a step in the right direction. For me, season 2, solid 7 out of 10. For me, 7 out of 10. I gave preseason Diablo a 6 out of 10 because I was hyped for season 1. I gave season 2 a 2 out of 10 because season 1 was a colossal letdown. This has not been a letdown at all. I have been, if anything, I've been pleasantly surprised rather than, disappointed. So yeah, there's some interesting things going on as well with the season journey. This is a little suspicious, and I just want to point that out. Enormous amount of potent blood and nothing else. So potent blood, if you guys haven't played, is the currency used to get your vampire powers. There's no way it has nothing, right? Like, there's no way it has nothing else. I can't wait to get there. I'll post a little clip when I do. Any event, that's neither here nor there. Season 2, Diablo 4, solid 7 out of 10. It's a thumbs up from me. I'm enjoying it. I'm going to keep playing. I'm going to continue progressing this character, start playing some others, progress them. And I'm excited to see what they come up with. This has left me hopeful for the future of the game, whereas season 1 left me disappointed and disheartened about the future of the game. So I think hopefully if we stay on this track and we keep making these positive steps forward, the game will get better and better. I think in general, while the quality of life stuff should probably have been in the game to the start, I think the resistances should have been this way from the start. The changes are good. I'm going to give them credit where credit is due. So hats off then. But if we're over this quality of life hump and we've gotten over this like silliness of like, here's the basic shit that you should have in your ARPG, congratulations, you finished the game. Hopefully the development time can go to actually producing content that's worth doing. So far, every bit of content that's been released so far has been worth doing, with the exception of everything in season 1, basically. But Nightmare Dungeons are great. Helltide is great. Blood Harvest is great. And I just want more of it. So maybe something cool with Strongholds. Maybe some more long form content. Some like longer, maybe some mega dungeons, something like that. It'd be interesting to have a boss rush mechanic or a like a boss invasion mechanic, or even if you guys haven't played it, season whatever we're on, season of Diablo 3, not 4. I know we were talking about 4, but if you check out like the newest season of Diablo 3, there's these rifts that spawn on the open world that basically like you enter and there's like 1,000 monsters that like are in this thing, or like, you know, it's a whole room full of treasure goblins and things like that. That's a fun little change of pace thing that I think that they could easily incorporate into something like D4 and have it be a really fun experience. Like if rather than the events where you save the 3 idiots that are just like standing in a room of a dungeon for some reason, you have one of those. It's just like a little portal that just like sits in the corner and you click on it and it's like a giant loot explosion. That would be fun for me, but there's definitely more end game systems that need to be added. I don't want to ramble on too long. I've probably done enough already. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts of season 2 are in the comments below. Are you going to play? Are you going to skip it? What do you think about the future of Diablo 4? What have you been playing instead? Thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you guys next time.